They got a new flavor of bubbly.
Oh yeah, which one's
Uh,
that?
Raspberry. That's pretty good.
Oh yeah. Hmm.
Oh, let
That's,
me mute.
yeah, I'll have to make
Okay.
sure.
I I think I have every single flavor.
Oh
I
yeah.
keep them. I keep them in my garage all the time.
Mm. Yeah, I've been on the
Uh
aha
huh. Yeah.
a bit more lately. I find the flavors are just a little bit better. So,
Yeah,
but I go
they're
back and
actually about 60 cents more than the bubblies now for some reason.
really. Hmm.
Yeah, I don't know how much
Weird.
they are there, but
Yeah. Yeah, I don't. They're all fairly consistent. I don't look at unless it's like really different. I don't really notice it. So.
just don't try the grapefruit. Oh, it's horrible. Oh,
Yeah.
I had to force myself to drink that whole case.
Yeah, and that's the one thing I don't like about the bubbly flavors is that you have to buy a case of them, which kind of if you don't like it, then you're stuck with it and
Hmm.
till you can finish them. But yeah, it's the same with a lot of them. But I haven't found any of the aha ones that I don't like yet. So
I think
cool.
Aha's Pepsi makes them and Coke makes bubbly, or it might be the reversed. But
Yeah, I can remember.
hey, Crafty and Carnivore.
I'm just looking on
Hey,
here.
Leela.
Yeah, the aha is a Coke. Uh,
Oh, Aha's Coke, then it means
yeah,
bubbly's Pepsi.
yeah. I think I actually did some work in a Pepsi distribution warehouse not too long ago, and I saw skid loads of bubbly in there. So
Hmm.
probably right. So yeah, we got Heath here and Hyla's here. Reichwin has joined us. Thanks for coming in, everyone. And then we got Leela's here as well. A few of the, and then we got Shelly. And then me.
Haven't seen you in a while popping the popcorn.
Yes. I was watching some of her videos and I saw what her name was again. I can't remember. So many names to remember.
I know.
Popping the popcorn.
Yeah.
So yeah, thanks for doing this, LB. It's we've been talking back and forth, sort of off and on for a few months. Because yeah, I guess you have sort of dabbled in keto and low carb, over the years, and uh, as you know, I do interviews with other people that have uh, done keto or carnivore or low carb. So just trying to bring out as much information as we can to anybody that needs to hear it. Basically, are you like doing keto right now, or is it just something that's kind of on and off right now?
Oh yeah, I've been back on it for about 3 months. I was on it for two over 2 years. So
Hmm.
pretty much I went off of it only because everybody in my family just kept pressuring me and pressuring me and pressuring me of how unhealthy it was, and of course eating pasta and sweets and everything, and I just got into the temptation, but I felt like poop after I did. I mean,
Yeah.
it was horrible. I mean, I have a bad back, so of course I had a lot of inflammation after that. And before I started keto, I was taking medication for diabetes, high blood pressure, and I just got over cancer at that time. So I felt so much better. I mean, I got through. I've been in 5 years remission right now. But yeah, I mean, the keto actually, I take no medication at all. I take one pill, and that's because I'm an insomniac. So once in a
Mm.
while, if I find myself up for more than 20 hours, I got to sleep. But yeah, I mean,
Right.
that's actually something that's medical. But with the keto, it really saved my life because I, I, I came back here. I was a very healthy person before I came back home to take care of my mom. I even worked in nutrition, so I knew all about it. I worked out and everything else, but I came back here and I just like health just kind of went apart. So, yeah, I mean, I am trying to do more carnivore right now to get myself really jump start because it seems like I measure my ketones, but it's going up and down. So, and I do use that app Carb Manager, and the only reason I do is because if I'm out and about eating somewhere, I need to know what's in it. So,
Yeah, sure. That those apps are definitely a good tool um, to help you stay on track. Because you're right, half the time you don't know what's in a lot of things out there. Like
hmm
I tend to, and personally myself, I'll obviously if we go out to a restaurant, I'll always try and stick with steak or you know try and stay close to carnivore because then you're usually safe with what you get. But you just never know, right? So at least with something like Carb Manager,
hmm
it can sort of put your mind at ease and you can make the best decision that you can. Unfortunately, there's very few restaurants. Like I guess if you go to a steakhouse or something and you just get steak and maybe some mushrooms or something, you just don't know what they cook it in or if there's crappy oils and stuff and like that in it too. Um, so
yeah,
you're
bro.
still sorry,
hmm
go ahead.
Yeah, Texas Roadhouse is kind of my favorite place to eat out at.
Hmm.
Because I know you can't go wrong with steak. And usually I'll get a small side salad and then I'll have like broccoli and extra butter on it. And of course,
Hmm.
everybody else is sitting around eating those gator bites and fried pickles and rolls after rolls after rolls.
Hmm.
So yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely understand the whole temptation thing and the fact that for a lot of us, it's family and like even friends aren't, following low carb or keto, and it's, you know, thankfully, I don't know what it's like for you, but like most of my family and friends are fairly understanding of it because you know, they understood how terrible I felt when I was just eating crap. So, most people understand. And I personally have had a couple of friends just recently starting to be a little more conscious about the number
hmm
of carbs they're eating. So it doesn't mean that they stay away from them completely, but they're trying to make better choices.
yeah. I mean, sometimes I get a sweet tooth, and I find that there's a jelly called Cocoa or something like that from Amazon, and it's got like 1 carbs per tablespoon, and it's flavored with monk fruit. I do use monk fruit like for my coffee and stuff, and I put some peanut butter on one of those 0 carb wraps, and there it is. Sweet tooth is gone.
Hmm.
So I like to do that because that'll keep me from, eating even sugar free. If I eat a piece of sugar free candy, first of all, it's going to upset my stomach. You know how that sugar free stuff is. And
Hmm.
second of all, it's going to make me want to eat more and more. So I don't even try to tempt myself with it anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It's yeah, I've been for the last 6 months or so, I've been definitely trying to stay away from the sweet stuff as much as I can because I find the same thing. Um, you know, the more of it you eat, the more you want. And
hmm
I still always have uh, cravings for sweet things, but that's why I'll even go with something like a seltzer water that's got a little bit of flavor in it,
Yeah,
just to
bubblies.
get over that craving kind of thing. Because I even like, you know, I do like the keto bricks stuff like
hmm
that. But what I've found is that, and I've just over the last couple of weeks, is that I've had to come to realize that I have a real sensitivity that anything that has cocoa in it, like any
Mm,
chocolate. So I've cut that completely out. It's not like I was eating it every day before, but even any kind of sugar-free chocolate even would
Hmm.
cause a lot of problems with me. So sadly, like I still have this one keto brick sitting here, but I don't really even want to eat it because I know how I feel when I do. So,
Yeah, I try not to do anything that's sugar free. That's what I stay
mhm,
away from. First of all, it really messes up my digestive system, and I think everybody who's eating sugar free stuff knows what I'm talking about without being descriptive. But it's just really not any good for you. My mother's diabetic, and she likes ice cream, and I find that the keto ice cream is good. It's got the right amount of fat stuff, and it actually does not make me want to eat regular ice cream. So I eat a little bit of that, and I get my breads. I'm sure you got Aldi's over there, but Aldi's has their own breads, which is keto. And they just came out with buns too. So I always take a couple of buns, put it in a baggie along with a wrap and a couple slices of their bread, and I keep it in the car. So if I'm out and about, like going to work and forgot my lunch, well, I can swing over. I know it's not the healthiest, but I can swing over to McDonald's, get two burgers with no bread,
mhm,
and make my own burger. So that takes away
sure.
the temptation. So
Yeah. Yeah, and that's a good sort of tip to, anyone out there that runs into the same thing. Like I personally, I do the same sort of thing. If I want to have lunch, which usually isn't that often, I'll swing through McDonald's or Wendy's and then I'll just order. I don't even bother with saying no bun. I just order it and then I just ditch the bun and eat the meat and then away I go.
mhm.
Right. Um, in the past I've done a lot of the keto breads and stuff like that, but the other thing I have come to learn recently is I have a, it's not an instant thing, but if I eat too many nuts like almonds and peanuts and all
Mhm.
and that kind of stuff, I get a lot of inflammation from it.
Hmm.
And a lot of the breads are, they've replaced the wheat flour with almond flour and stuff like that. So things have gotten really boring in the last 6 months trying to figure out what's
Yeah.
causing these last few issues that I have. But I'm definitely feeling better as I get rid of things, which is kind of sad, but it's what you got to do, I guess.
What do you mean, things that you eat?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So like I say, the nuts bother me, chocolate bothers me. I've never been able to handle too much dairy. I'm fine with cheese and butter and that, but I can't ice cream. I can't. I have to stay away from any kind of ice creams and heavy cream and all that just upsets my stomach too. So
Wow, you're kind of limited then, because I live off a heavy cream in my coffee.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I
But again, it's one of those things where yes, I'm definitely having to cut a lot of things out, but I'm finding that the closer I get to just eating meat and some vegetables and sort of limiting it to that, um, I just feel so much better doing it. So to me, it's not really a sacrifice. I'd rather feel good than you know have a lot of variety in my diet.
Well, I've been watching a lot of Mike and his chaffles, and I
Hmm.
have really actually, okay, I watched this one. I watched yours too. And like, let me try this recipe. And I had never made chaffles before. So the first time I made it, it just tasted like one big egg. I'm thinking, okay, I've
Mm,
done something wrong here. So after a couple of tries, I got it down now. So I asked my mom to taste one, and she liked it. Well, make me one. And then she eats my keto bread, but she turns around and eats a bowl of pasta or
mm,
a pint of ice cream. So I'm like, either you're going to be on it or you're not going to be on it. You can't keep eating my keto food.
right.
So,
Yeah. Yeah, I hear you. Chaffles are one of those things, and it's funny. Well, most of the time when I'm making chaffles, it's more or less specifically to make a video out of it. You know,
hmm.
there are times when I'll use them. I'll make up a couple for hamburger buns and stuff like that. But it's not something I eat a lot, but I do find that they're really versatile. You can, as you may have seen, I've put anything from peanut butter and chocolate chips to sardines in my chaffles. So,
Mm,
it's,
there we go. I mean, write the sardines down.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
So,
Leela said, "How about lactose-free milk? Have you tried that?"
I haven't. I do. Uh, a lot of the cheese that I buy is lactose free. Like the sliced cheese that I get is lactose free, but I eat full lactose cheese as well, and it doesn't seem to bother me the same way that cream does. But at the end of the day, too, I don't. You know, I've given up coffee recently too, so I don't even have that much need for cream. So uh, that's one thing that's bothered me for forever though. So I'm not. I've been without it for a long time.
So you're used to it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I found they can still. I can go to Starbucks too, and if you order the Americano, it has no sugar in it, but I put get
Hmm.
heavy cream, and I bring my own little monk fruit sugar and put it in there, and I'm good to go. Of
Hmm.
course, while I'm going through the drive-through, I'm looking at that Frappuccino caramel salted, and I'm like, oh boy, that sounds good right now. But yeah, I mean, I feel so much better. I mean, my health was just going downhill, so I take no medication, like I said, so that's a good thing. But yeah, it was a pressure, and everybody's like, oh, it's so unhealthy. Oh, if you stop it, you're going to gain 60, 70 pounds back. I mean, I was over 200 some pounds. So, I mean, I still got a little ways to go. So, I want to get to a certain range where I know I'm comfortable. My back is actually more comfortable because when you put on weight, of course, what happens is your back. So, and I'm
Hmm.
very creative. You guys all know that I do a lot of camping. If you see my videos, I really can do total keto out there and still have really enjoyable meal. I make pork chops, vegetables. Last time I had some sausages with keto buns, and yeah, I mean it's not dull to me.
Hmm. Yeah, like I say, my diet might be pretty boring on the surface, but to me, I don't mind like the fact that I can have, steak and eggs and bacon and ground beef and hamburgers and hot dogs and all like okay, well that all sounds pretty good to me. Like I definitely never get bored. Personally, I don't get bored. I think unfortunately a lot of the times I think my wife gets a little bit bored with what I make, and you know a lot of the times I'm the one that's cooking anyway, so it's
Hmm.
kind of a little bit of a struggle, but we're trying to work through getting more things she likes at the same time as I'm trying to eliminate things that are making me feel like trash.
Yeah, sometimes it's you got to find out what it is. It's like I miss sushi, but I started eating sashimi, and
Mm,
I actually find that that's more enjoyable anyhow with all that rice. So yeah, when you go out, the problem is when you get something that's already cooked, you're not sure what's in there. Like my mother and her friend with the Olive Garden. Of course, there's really nothing at Olive Garden I can eat. Even their salad is full of carbs. So she
hmm.
brought me shrimp scampi without the noodles, and I'm still
Right.
kind of leery of like I don't know what they cooked this in, but it didn't
Hmm.
throw me off. So I mean that was a good thing. It was just shrimp and some butter. So,
Yeah. Yeah, and like I was saying earlier, that's unfortunately that's sort of the choice you have to make if you're going to go out and enjoy, hanging out with family or friends at a restaurant or something. Some restaurants you go to are just not going to have a lot of things, and you have to, a lot of times you go out, if you even if you can get like chicken wings with no breading on them, there's a 95% chance that they were cooked in God knows what, right? So
mhm.
you just never know. It's but for the once in a while time that I do it, you know, it doesn't bother me too much to indulge in things like that. Um, then it's you just like I say, pick your battles and, just do what you have to do to keep your sanity through the whole thing.
Buffalo Wild Wings is pretty good as long as you get something like, I get the garlic parmesan.
Hmm.
So, because I'm a big fan of G Hughes. I don't know, you've heard of G Hughes.
Hmm.
He makes a
Yeah.
whole line of the sugar free stuff. So, sugar free ketchup, sugar free dressing. I love the sugar free barbecue sauce. I mean, I use that
Hmm.
year round. Now he's got a sugar-free steak sauce, so you can
Hmm.
try that. So yeah, I load up on that, and that way when I'm cooking something, I'll this is her barbecue sauce and this is mine, so I can
Hmm.
split it up. So
For sure. Yeah, the Jihu stuff is really good, and I can get that at there's a local like keto store where I
yeah,
am that sells that stuff. So it's I always have some sort of sugar free steak sauce and something. There was another company that is sort of local to where I am that makes steak sauce, which is pretty good too. So unfortunately, they've just recently closed pretty much all the Buffalo Wild Wings in, I don't know if it's the whole country in Canada here,
hmm.
or at least the province that I'm in. They've closed them all. They've all gone out of business. So
Wow.
kind of sad because you're right. I used to like going there and getting like the salt and pepper wings and stuff like that, but no more, I guess.
No, yeah, yeah. I'm limited. I mean, oh, I don't know if you owe Charlie's. I get a burger, and of course, it's really messy when they do a lettuce wrap. You know, it's like
Hmm.
going down your arms, but it's what I got to do. But the biggest thing was just the pressure, and
Hmm.
that's what made me stop, and I regret it. And so when they all say, "Well, let's go to such and such," like, nope, mm-mm, can't go there,
Hmm.
can't track what's there.
Yeah.
So it's just like going, and I'm not sure if you heard of Golden Corral. It's a big buffet place. And,
Yeah.
all you can eat in there. Well, there is a variety of stuff. However, like you said, I have no idea what's in this just piece of plain roast beef. I don't know what it's cooked in. I don't know what's in it. So, and of course, you put into the app and it says, oh, it's not recognized. Well, if it's not recognized in the app, then I'm not, touching it. So, and
Sure.
then, I mean, it's just full of different stuff that you don't know. But, that's the biggest thing is that you got to eat somewhere where
Hmm.
halfway, okay, this is 5 carbs. Well,
Sure. Yeah.
how many carbs
Was
do
it?
you stay at?
Phew. To be honest with you, I haven't tracked carbs for about 4 years.
Okay.
It's kind of a stick to, like it's not like I completely ignore it, but I don't, specifically say, okay, I've had this many carbs today. I need to stop. I'd say typically it's probably, after that first year of keto, I probably settled in around, somewhere under 50 a day kind of thing. Cause I can uh, still feel pretty good around there. Nowadays, the last 6 months where it's been, almost carnivore, it's probably definitely under 20 carbs per day. So, um, like I say, I track ketones and all that for the first year and glucose and everything else. But after a while, I wasn't really seeing anything new. So I just stopped doing that. And then it turned into a lifestyle for me. I know how I feel when I'm doing things right. And then, I sort of, I didn't go off the rails and completely go off it, but like last year for a while, I was getting a little bit lax in it. So I was, that's why this year I decided to tighten things down a bit so I can
Hmm.
sort of keep it under control.
Yeah, that's pretty much, how I was in the beginning too, the first year. And then afterwards, I just would keep it under 50. And I noticed I still stayed in ketosis and I still was losing weight, and once I stopped, like it was 2 months, I just felt like poop. I didn't
Yeah.
want to do anything. I was groggy. I would fall asleep in the middle of the day, because, I mean, being a former diabetic, and that's why I call myself a former diabetic. Carbs used to you eat carbs, man, you're out afterwards.
Hmm.
No matter if you're driving or what. But now I have more energy, and I know my last video I did a 3 mile hike. Now last year when I stopped it, and I don't think I can go 3 blocks. So it,
Hmm.
it makes a difference. And, staying away. Once in a while, I will have a Coke Zero if I feel like, a Coke. But mostly it's always unsweetened black tea from Gold Leaf. I get a big old bottle of that and my bubblies. And I have 5 cases in the garage. So
Hmm.
I never run out. I'm not a huge water drinker. I don't drink a lot of water, but I do consider this to be part of water.
Sure. Yeah, and Leela brings up a good point here too about non-keto people eating keto foods that are higher in fat, because you're right, if they're that's the trap, is the fat and carbohydrate
Yeah,
combination.
Leila, exactly. You're exactly right. It's just like, I get like a couple packs of wraps from Aldi's, some hamburger buns, and regular, bread. So, in case I want to make sandwiches. And I noticed that it was disappearing, and I noticed that my mother was eating it. And
Hmm.
she's very overweight, unfortunately, and she's diabetic and has high blood pressure. And then she tasted my sugar-free jelly, not from the store. I get it from Amazon because it's real, not that sucralose in it. And she
Hmm.
liked it. She wanted me to buy her one. I'm like, if you're not going to do straight keto, this is really not the greatest thing, just because you like the taste. So,
Right, for
you
sure.
know, oh yeah, Michelle. I have about 6 case. Oh, actually, I got another one tonight. 12 cases, 12 of these a day. I think I go through. But
Hmm.
I'm not a huge water drinker. I will drink more water in the winter than I will the summer.
Hmm.
So I love bubblies.
Yeah.
I don't drink alcohol, and even if people were getting when they did the low carb, I'm like, well, this kind of tastes like water, water with like one little barley hop in it. So I was like, this is not
Yeah.
worth it either.
Yeah. Yeah, that's another thing I've sort of concentrated on this year as well, is I haven't completely stopped drinking. Like once in a while I have a cooler or something, like a seltzer or something like that, but I've cut way back on it, and it's made a huge difference. Since January 1st of this year, I've sort of tried to cut way back from what I was doing before, and it's amazing how much of a difference something like that can make in your life too.
Yeah, I mean it's different things, put on weight. I think, like I said, I mean I used to manage the vitamin shop, and so I knew nutrition. I knew I took supplements, and I worked out. I ate. It meant if I wasn't doing keto then, but I had a strict thing. I would cook meals for like the next 4 days, so that I know that I wouldn't be tempted by anything. I worked out 5 days a week. Now that was pretty healthy, and then I came back here, and then 5 years ago I was diagnosed with cancer. So that was kind of a blow. But I kept a positive state of mind. Even went camping with a chemo bag attached to me, because I think it's your state of mind on how to
Mhm.
beat these things. And once I did, I thought, I don't want to do, because that's my second bout with cancer. So I said, I
Mhm.
want to go through this. And I was like, looking up a lot of different things. And it's like, some of these are yo yo diets. I'm not going to try these. And then I read about keto.
Mhm.
And everybody was saying, oh, it's unhealthy. And oh, you'll gain all that weight back. And, it's like, well, I'm going to try it out. So I went to my doctor. I had my cholesterol checked. I had everything, all that checked. Of course, I was on diabetic medication and high blood pressure medication. So about 6 months later, I went back. Then my cholesterol was actually better than what it was before I started. And she said my glucose level, and, A1C, everything was perfect. So I stopped all the medication. I haven't been on it since. You know. So yeah, I mean, everybody talked about me how unhealthy it is because I think everybody equates keto to bacon. They think that's all you eat is bacon, and I do eat a lot of bacon, but I eat a lot of other things, avocados and stuff. They don't understand that that's the good fats. I make chia pudding. I have some a protein pudding that I get from the vitamin shop, and then I mix flax seeds and chia seeds in it, and oh, it's good. My mother likes that too, but so like she said, it's still full of fat. And if you're not on, if you got diabetes and you're overweight, that's not helping.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually hurting you more.
Yeah, absolutely. It's um, no, like what Michelle's saying here too about buffets. It's like you say, you got to just make the best choices possible that you can, you know. But yeah, the
Yeah.
whole thing about like the bad name that keto had and or has or had or still has or will always have is, you know, I think there's a few things that go along with it. Is everyone confuses, um, nutritional ketosis with therapeutic ketosis. Like it's two
Hmm.
completely different things. One is, a healthy amount of fats, and then the other one is treating conditions like epilepsy and that, where it's, you know, high, like really high fat, which is, not something we're doing. Like we're not sitting here, drinking butter all day long. Like that's just not what we
Oh,
do. But
that you're not. But
yeah,
that's so yummy. No,
yeah,
I put
like
it in
that's
my coffee.
yeah, yeah, and so I've done that 100 times too. It's when you think about it, okay, well, everyone just freaks out. Or you're putting butter in your coffee. That's like, well, what's cream? It's
Artificial cream too. That
yeah.
sweet
So
stuff.
yeah, so there's really not that much difference. It's just, but it still freaks people out to see you do things like that.
Yeah, and like I said, all these fad diets. I mean, they really it's and then the ones they advertise on TV, like the Nutrisystem. You're paying how much money a month for meals to prepare that you could actually prepare them so much cheaper at home.
Hmm.
And they don't tell you what's really behind the scenes with a lot of these diets and this go low. And they got these people hooked on this stuff. And it's like, you're saying that keto is bad, but you got to look at the success stories of it, and I'm one. I'm
Hmm.
not gonna say that cancer is never going to come back again because it could, but I mean, long as I feel healthy, I'm healthy, and I try not to put anything artificial. I'm always reading. It takes me an hour just to get 5 items at the grocery store because I'm
Hmm.
reading every single ingredient in there. Because you
Sure.
think something like a jar of mayonnaise is okay, well, read it.
Yeah.
I try to stay away from anything with soy in it too.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. It's well, that's the thing is that keto. Well, really, the reason a lot of you know people talk down about keto, I think, is because they can't really make money off of it the way they can things like Weight Watchers and all these other diets.
Mhm.
Because Weight Watchers and anything like that, the business model it's based on is something that doesn't work. So you've got people that always have to come back and always have to pay money
Mhm.
because at the end of the day, it doesn't actually work. Because if Weight Watchers worked, they'd go out of business, right? But
Yeah,
it doesn't.
exactly.
So that's why they keep making money. But they up until 5, 6 years ago, keto wasn't even something that you could make money off of. It's turned into a big business as far as products and stuff like that go. But you don't have to take any pills, you don't have to join any plans. All you really have to do is stop eating carbs. And
Mhm.
there's more nuance to it than that, but it's not something that can be monetized the way that these fad diets are.
No, and once in a while, if I found those konjac noodles, I can't remember what they're called. They're in the at Walmart in the next to the vegetables, and they really smell when you open them up, but you have
Mhm.
to drain them a few times. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'll put some olive oil and butter, and then I got those little tiny bag of those little tiny meatballs, and
Hmm.
they have zero carbs in it. It's amazing.
Yeah.
And I put that in it, and I've satisfied my carb. Well, not my carb, my pasta craving.
Hmm.
So
Yeah. Yeah, I always have some of those noodles on hand too. The company that we get them from, well, the one I get it from is called New Pasta. Um,
okay.
so they have like fettuccine and spaghetti and angel hair, and they even have like a riced
Hmm.
pasta as well. So yeah, they're great. I just like they have no flavor whatsoever. They stink like crazy until you
You
want
got to
to rinse them
rinse them
off.
about 50 times.
Yeah, but to me, it's just a vessel, right? So you put, and it's just a way of getting that feeling of eating noodles, and then it's what you put with it that tastes good. So yeah, I definitely have I still eat those quite often. We don't we don't buy tomato sauce or anything like that.
Hmm.
Spaghetti sauce. We grow tomatoes during the summer, so in the fall and throughout the winter, we have homemade sauce that I use for stuff like that. So I don't eat pasta per se during the summer too much.
Yeah, um, I have a tomato plant that I did not want a tomato plant.
No,
Um,
really.
I planted rosemary, and I'm all excited. I had this little raised garden, and I'm watching this grow, and I'm thinking, this is a weird rosemary plant. I've never seen one like this before. So as it's growing and growing, I was like, this is not rosemary. I have no idea what this is. So in other words, the packet of seeds that said rosemary was actually tomato. So now I got these two tomato plants. I have no idea what to do with them. I guess I'm going to take them out the box because it's a small raised box, and they're going to grow. So I just got
Yeah,
two 5-gallon buckets. So I guess I'll have tomato sauce this winter too.
yeah, for sure. Let's see. And low carb keto is the most sustainable for me. Fads and yo-yo dying are very destabilizing to my ED. We're all coming from our own why, and that's exactly right. And that's why I do what I do on this channel. With every time I do an interview and I talk to people that have their own story, you know, I think at the end of the day, we all want the same thing. We just want to feel healthy. We want to, live a better life and all that. But we all sort of start in different places. Like I started because my first grandson was getting to the point where he was running me crazy. Like he was 2 years old and I couldn't keep up with him. And
Mhm.
I was 80 pounds overweight and I was like, okay, well, I got to do something if I want to be able to keep up with him and, watch him grow up. So he was sort of the catalyst for me starting. And every time I think about why am I doing this? Well, that's why, right? But everybody's got a reason to do these things. And I'd always say having a reason why you want to do it is the easiest way to have motivation to stick with things like this. Because we've all got different stories, we've all got different paths, the way we get there, you know. But I think at the end of the day, we all really just all want the same thing when it comes right down to it.
Yeah, it's yeah, like you said, everybody's got their own different issues, but keto seems to cover a lot of issues that I've noticed. I mean, why would high blood pressure? How's that affected? Well, I think part of it was affected because I was 50 pounds overweight, so
Mm-hmm.
I'm huffing and puffing, and I mean, I'm not that old, but it's like I shouldn't be breathing like that,
Mm-hmm.
especially being an outdoors person. But I cook great keto meals outdoors more than I do indoors.
Sure. So do you, if you want to, we can talk about that a bit because obviously your channel is women outdoors, so you're all about the outdoor adventure and all that. So you've been able to, like, I guess ultimately keto, I guess, would sort of lend itself quite well to outdoor living.
Yeah, it's like eggs during the wintertime I can bring fresh eggs because I can just stick them in the snow and keep them nice and cold. In the summertime, I usually what I do is have dehydrated eggs. So
Okay.
I'll just rehydrate them. Of course, I take bacon, sausage, and then I use made those little packets of chicken and all that.
Mhm.
Make something out of that. So it's really not difficult to eat keto outdoors, especially in the summertime. Make a fire and cook up something steaks. I love steaks. If you see some of my videos of steak, my
Mhm.
freezer, my downstairs freezer is full of them. But yeah, I love to cook outdoors. And like I said, being in around people who are not on it or who also always putting you down, like how unhealthy it is, are usually the ones who are unhealthy. So,
Mhm.
and it's like, okay, you're taking all this medication, you are overweight, and I'm not putting you down. It's just like, why don't you just try it? Give it a try. But you
Mhm.
can't just eat a slice of keto bread and call yourself on keto. You know, you,
Yeah.
you got to put that ice cream down. You got to put that pasta down.
Sure.
So, and
Yeah,
it's,
and it's like I completely agree. It's I think it's one of those things where you know when I first started and when I lost all the weight that I did, a lot of people were like, "Well," because they'd see me at one time, and then the next time they see me, I've lost all this weight, and they're like, "Well, how did you do that?" Like it's the interest is there, but then as soon as you say, "Well," I just stop eating bread and pasta and chips and chocolate and all this stuff. And then you either get someone who wants to know more or you get that, like they just tune you right out. And it's like, well, I can't do that. So this is not
mhm.
something I can do. I think it has to, unfortunately, a lifestyle change like this has to come from a place of, I don't want to say desperation, but realization that you have to do something. Like in your case with the medications you were on, and my case where I couldn't keep up with the 2-year old, and you know until that changes your mindset about things, and that allows you to push past the feeling of being deprived of everything that you love to eat. Unfortunately, people just can't get past that a lot of times.
Well, sometimes I compare it to an addict. A lot of these foods we were addicted to.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, chips. It's like, okay, I was eating a thicker bag of chips. I'm talking about a big bag, and I'm
Hmm.
watching TV, and all of a sudden, reaching down, there's no chips left. And oh my gosh, I got to go to the store and get more chips. And like, you'll get up in your pajamas and go. It's like being an addict. And detox, off of it was the worst thing. It's like I'm getting tremors, maybe I need to go to the hospital or something. But yeah,
Hmm.
it's definitely I compared it to that. So
Hmm.
it became a big lifestyle change, and once I started on it, I loved it. But yeah, those fad diets they don't work. They don't work and they're expensive. And when I worked in nutrition, I used to go to the hospitals and educate the bariatric patients on choices of food. So I
Hmm.
had a girl who was a patient that had just got out. She says, "Well, he says I can eat two and a half, and that'd be the most hamburgers from McDonald's." I'm thinking, well, you just had bariatric surgery. The point is to stay away from it,
Hmm.
and your stomach is only this little. Two and a half burgers is just gonna explode, you know,
Right.
and and I think the doctors tell them really unhealthy choices. And some of those bariatric patients, I swear they only need to lose about 30, 40 pounds. There's no reason, but it's the easy way out. You know what I mean? It's just, hey,
Hmm.
I just get the surgery and don't have to worry about dieting or any kind of lifestyle changes.
Sure. Yeah, and that's you bring up a good point there too. Like I think those kind of surgeries that, you know, they can definitely help, but you're right. If you don't change your relationship with food first, I, it's just unfortunately not going to actually fix the real issue. You know, you may limit yourself to how much you can eat per day, but you're still going to be eating the same foods that you were before that got you to the point where you needed to take that drastic measure.
Yeah, my mother watches that show, my 600-pound life. Now, what
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand is that when I hit over 200 pounds, I knew it. I felt it. There's
Mm-hmm.
no way that I would get to 600 pounds without knowing it,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
she's like, I feel bad for them. And they're young. Yeah, I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
know people that have suffered from weight issues since they were a child, and that comes from eating unhealthy food at home. Because if you look at the mother and father, the same thing. Now, I
Mm-hmm.
grew up eating healthy food. A lot of meat that we ate, pretty much that me and my father, we went out and got it, deer, rabbit, you know. So so we knew where the meat was coming from. We ate relatively healthy. I know
Mm-hmm.
school lunches back then were healthy. Today it's like pizza, cookies, and all this sweet stuff, and these kids are used to it.
Yeah,
And of course, it's going to be bad choices later on. But
for sure. So Rick's saying I don't say keto when someone asks me about my diet and losing weight. I just tell them to eat proper, clean food. Yeah, and that's pretty much the way have gone with it too. I don't specifically come out and say I eat keto. I just actually just say, well, I stopped eating crap, and that's
yeah,
basically it's the truth. So that's the way I handle it, anyways. Because yeah, it seems like as soon as you say keto, you
I
know,
know
they
you.
gloss over and they're like, oh well, I don't really want to hear about that. So
They don't want to hear about it because they don't want to do it. But
yeah.
yeah, Leela, that's how I was in the beginning. But I found that wasn't working for me at first. It wasn't, but then along the way, where you get what they call fat adapted, of course, I could up my carbs just like you. I'll stay under 50 and still
Hmm.
lose weight. But in the beginning, I couldn't do that. It's like
Hmm.
this strip is not changing any colors. What's wrong with it? And I actually threw the bottle away and went and bought another bottle, thinking that the bottle's defective. But
Sure. Yeah, like I say, everybody, you know, uh, I always say that any kind of step that you can make to sort of better things, whether it's cutting, like I'm a all or nothing personality. That's just the way I have to do things. If I'm going to make a change, it's going to happen and it's going to happen overnight. And I'm just going to go from one way to another way because I can't do things gradually.
hmm
But I think, just cutting out sodas and then getting through that because that can be a big one right there. And then cut out chips and, like just slowly cut things down because
hmm
it's not like we all have to be you know living at under 20 carbs a day, and it's just trying to eat cleaner can be a big difference in your life.
it does. When you're talking about soda, it's like
Hmm.
I had a headache for days, because I used to drink like Coca-Cola, like too much. Of course, sugar, caffeine, and I don't touch. I probably drink coffee maybe 2 3 times a week. That's it. You won't find me drinking coffee every day because being an insomniac, I have to be careful of the caffeine. And I'm actually keto to nothing for my insomnia. So that's one thing it never did anything for. But I think that's more neurological. I've always been like that, even since a child. So I always had problems sleeping. The only thing that really would put me to sleep, of course, I don't drink, probably a shot of whiskey, but I don't drink, um, is the TV. If the TV's on, then I can somehow relax. I got it on the timer and go to sleep. So.
Hmm. Susie's saying chips were hard for me to give up. I developed a bad habit in 2020 of eating nachos. Yeah, so glad
Mm.
to be free of that. I was a, you know, chips and nachos and Cheetos and all that crap. That was, you know, I'll admit it. That was my downfall for years. Like that's probably a big part of what created all the issues that I had to begin with. So ultimately, that's still one of those things I look at and think, oh man, it'd be nice to have like a handful of Cheetos or something. But that's when I reach for the pork rinds and I just try and forget about them.
You know, I got burnt out on pork rinds.
Mm,
I did make a pork belly a couple months ago, and I thought, you know, let me try to make one. What do you call it, chimichanga or whatever it is, with the back of it, and it was pretty good. But just eating pork rinds, I can't do it no more. I just
yeah.
got burnt out on them.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah.
So Leela's saying that she has high carb meals and videos reflect that. Just might, yeah, like you say, it's we all do what we have to do. It's um, I personally can't allow myself to like do high carb meals because it turns into a snowball effect with me, those kind of things. So I personally I don't cheat. Like I don't have cheat meals or cheat days or anything like that. But you know, again, you can have higher carb meals. Like I'm not against, you know, if you're having, you know, potatoes and stuff like that, it's all well and good. It's if you can stay away from the processed food, I think that's, you know, that's definitely a big step in the right direction.
See, I couldn't do it if I touched one chip. And I'll read the
Mhm.
bag. It says, oh, 18 carbs per 8 chips. Well, who is going to sit there and eat 8 chips?
Absolutely.
I did it one time. I counted. Okay, this is 8 chips. After those 8 chips were done, I was like, no, give me that bag.
Hmm.
No, I couldn't do it. I mean, if they say, 10 of these or 12 of those, when it's the bad stuff that I know I can't eat, I don't even touch it. I mean, I was like
Hmm.
getting those little smart popcorn bags, little bitty baby ones with 100 calories. And I think there was
Hmm.
like 9 carbs in it. And I got a big old box of it from Amazon. I think I went through that thing in 2 weeks. It
Right.
was, it was a
Yeah,
box of 40. So, I'm not going to tempt myself because I know I'll eat it.
for sure.
So,
Absolutely. Looks like Hyla was saying good night. If she's still here, if not, I'm sure we'll see her
yeah,
around.
Leila, if
She's all
your
over the place.
high carb meal is not a cheat, you got to just do what, works for you. Because what works
Hmm.
for me may not work for you. I mean, I know that certain things. I'm an addict. I gotta have all of it. I can't just have 8 pieces like the bag says.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And I think the way she's wording it there, like considering it a choice instead of a cheat, that's the
Yeah,
way you have to look at it because, you know, if you make a conscious choice to say, well, I'm going to have this meal, then it's like I think it's easier to, you know, go back to something a little lower in carbs if you want, but uh, the whole cheat meal thing is kind of a I don't know. Again, I just find that if you feel like you're cheating, then it's just not a good mental place to be.
no, it's just certain things I would not tempt myself with.
Hmm.
It's like, for me, it's playing with fire. I know that, a lot of people say, well, you get to a certain age, you're not supposed to do keto. And I was like, where did that come from? I've never, seen that. But actually, being a woman, your hormones do change. I think keto was the only thing that actually helped me.
Hmm.
So, at my age,
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Looks like we got Uncle Big Guy in the house. Good to see you. Um, everyone's saying hi. I don't buy a big bag of chips, and I try not to bring all the bad stuff in the house. Yeah, it's
yeah,
again, that's
good for you.
yeah. You do what you have to do to, you know. I'm the same way. I don't because if I buy something like even if I buy like keto products, stuff like that, or if I buy some of these sugar-free keto products, I still eat too many of them, and I eat them too quickly. So it's for me, it's better just not to have them here because I can't control it.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It's just like an addict, I mean,
Hmm.
it's like you start drinking beers, out with the buddies, and one
Yeah,
after another. Can you just drink one low carb
yeah,
beer? No, it's not going to work.
for sure.
So,
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
think
like I
that.
said, everybody's different.
Yeah, and I think that with it, that goes along with drinking any alcohol too. If you're trying to stick to it like a fairly strict kind of diet or lifestyle, drinking alcohol just lowers your inhibitions and your ability to say no to things. So
Hmm.
you're more tempted to be a little lax in your diet if you're drinking too much. So
So, yeah, you do have the support,
mhm,
which is good.
mhm,
Unfortunately, it's like if I tell the family they want to go someplace, like they want to go to this Italian restaurant. Well, this Italian restaurant, what Italian? Strictly pasta. I'm like, no, I
mhm,
can't go there. Well, you don't have to eat it. Well, that's like you're sitting in front of me. All you guys are sitting in front of me, eating all this food, and I have no willpower to do that. So why put myself in that position?
mhm.
Because that's how I end up stopping last year was because of the pressure, but
Sure.
not anymore.
Yeah. No, I hear you. She stole my thunder here. It's good to see you. Our French Canadian friend. She's here to cause trouble. I don't know what kind of trouble you can cause here, but it's good to see you anyways. Everyone's saying hi here. I get what you're saying. I'm working on healing. Yeah, like I say, Leela, it's to me, and I've talked to a lot of people about this too, and the actual physical act of changing your lifestyle, while it is a tough thing to do, it's more, I think it's more mental than it is physical. Once you figure that out within you, figure out why you want to do something and sort of make that decision to, know, make a change, then the physical part of it, yeah, okay, you're going to have to get over some cravings and find ways to sort of navigate through things like that. But if you can't get through the mental side of it first, the physical side's almost impossible to keep track of.
When I had very first started keto, the very first time, I had been in like day number 5, and everybody's talking about this keto flu. I didn't get it, but one night I'm sitting there, I'm watching TV, and all of a sudden I felt my blood pressure drop, and then my sugar level, and I was like,
Mm.
I knew it was low blood sugar, and I was thinking, well, well, I got to eat something, and I did eat like a little piece of candy because you know I was almost out. So, but I didn't
Mhm.
let that stop me. I kept
Mhm.
on going.
Yeah, yeah, and the keto flu, it is a real thing for sure. But it's also fairly easy to mitigate any of those feelings. Like if you're hydrating properly, and you know, it's even if you do wind up with it, if you can push through it, it's usually only 24 hours of feeling like crap, anyways. So, who else we got here? Dr. Six Legs Judo Chop. It's good to see you. Been
See you, Leila.
here a couple of times. Saying hi here. A little
Yeah,
tired.
it's one, Brooke. I mean, if it's a real authentic Italian restaurant, there's not going to be anything there. I'm
Mm,
surprised they didn't have like cannolis and tiramisu and stuff like that.
yeah, yeah.
It's like Red Lobster. I mean, I know I can eat a lot of seafood there as long as it's not fried, but you put
Mhm.
those biscuits down there, oh, forget it. No, no.
Yeah, yeah.
You ever try to say no to Red Lobster's biscuits? It's not
Mm,
happening.
yeah. Yeah, it's one thing with like because I was actually gluten free for 5, 6 years before I started keto too. Because I found that gluten really bothered my stomach too. So
Mhm.
Actually getting off of pasta and bread wasn't really a huge thing when I switched to keto, but I know what you're saying. Yeah, those are the kind of things like the fresh buns at the steakhouse and, biscuits and stuff like that. They're just, they're so hard to resist.
And everybody's sitting at a table saying, "Oh, you don't know what you're missing."
Yeah.
Like, that's just not right.
It's not, yeah, it's not
No,
fair, is it?
I wouldn't be telling you, "Oh, you shouldn't be having that." I'm letting you
Mhm.
enjoy what you like. So
For sure.
it's quite the opposite. But
Yeah. So Leela's heading out. Everyone's saying bye to Leela here. I'll probably there's another live stream that the community watches that's starting right about now, so we'll probably sort of wrap things up. Um, but yeah, it's been great talking to you about this. I've always wanted to hear sort of your story and your take on keto, and it sounds like you had ups and downs like all of us have, and that's why I like to talk to people like yourself, because everybody goes through it. They just have to hear other people's stories to know that you can come out the other side in a better place than where you started.
well, thanks for having me on. I'm glad to hear of other people's stories too. So
Yeah.
who's coming on next live?
Oh, that'll Two Crazy Ketos.
Oh, I don't.
They do the live stream every Thursday night at 8:30.
Oh, I don't know who that is. Maybe I have to go check them out.
Yeah, yeah. Joe and Rachel are. I've been watching them for 4 or 5 years. They're they're a
Oh,
great couple. They've got lots of good information, and they've got a pretty big keto community going on as well. So
oh, I'll go
yeah,
check
if you
them
ever
out.
want to check them out, yeah, it's just the number two crazy with a K and then ketos.
Okay,
They're definitely good people for sure. Good supportive community. So usually I like I said,
awesome.
try to keep this to an hour so that we don't because everyone
Right,
we headed over there now. So
two crazy ketos. Okay, I'm heading over there too. All right. Well, Jason, was
okay,
good.
LB.
It's good to hang out with you.
Yeah, you too, and we'll see you around everywhere. We're
Yeah,
it's we're showing up in a lot of different places. Kevin's channel and everyone else's channel. So
it's
it
good to
has been
meet other people. So, because you
yeah,
get other tips and recipes. So it's not really boring all the time.
for sure,
All right,
absolutely.
you
So
guys all have a good
okay,
night.
thank you. Okay, everyone. That was LB from Woman Outdoors. So hope you enjoyed the live stream. We'll be back next Thursday at 7:30 Eastern. I'm not sure if I'll have an interview to do or to premiere that night, but if I don't, I'll do another live stream here. See if we can get another guest up so we can have a chat. So until then, as I always say, keep on thriving, my friends. Have a good night.